Help, my child is not listening to me. You're welcome to Tuesday Life. And yes, you are welcome here. Are you ready for today? Of course, we're talking about listening. And in this one, we're actually talking about communication. My name is Wendy Ologe, and I am called Africa's #1 parent coach. Scratch that. I'm your most profitable, delightful, favorite, whatever it is that you want to put there. Yes, #1 parent coach in the world. Thank you so much for joining us today, and it's been amazing. Yes, I can see 83 people already watching live. Have you invited someone to be here? If you haven't, do that right away. Remember that the Tuesday Live is free for everyone. Anybody can access our Tuesday Live. One of the things I want to actually say to you today is that when a child is not listening, it is not a sign of failure, it's an invitation to connect and understand. Most times, we actually want to look at the disobedience of a child as to what it is that is happening to the child. But beyond that, every disobedience of a child, there is a story of an unmet need and an unspoken feeling. So if your child isn't listening and you're here today and you're wondering, but my child is not listening, what am I going to do? How is it, that I'm going to actually deal with it? It is obviously because there's something you've missed and there's something that you need to look at. So today we're going to be exploring why in the first place is your child not listening. So before you assume that your child isn't listening, ask yourself, have I created a space where they feel safe to also hear me? Most times we're actually very quick to talk about people not listening, but most times, do you really sit down to ask yourself, have you really been communicating in the way that they would need to hear you? And that's one of the reasons we do the communication classes, of course. I'm sure that you have registered, you've been here in there. It is an inner circle course that we made open for you to actually see. If we've peppered you enough about the inner circle, this is the time for you to actually come and see what happens in there. And trust me, you will not regret it. When your child don't listen, it's not because they inherently are defiant. No, it is not. It is because of underlying factors that affect their behavior and their ability to focus. So today, I am going to be sharing with you what are the reasons that break down common reasons why you get to a point where you now say, this child isn't listening to me. Number one is unclear expectations. Now, children not fully understand what it is that you're asking them to do. So if instructions are vague, too complex, they may feel overwhelmed. I've heard my son say to me in the past that this is plenty talk. So it means that, the talk was. So if you have a kinesthetic learner, for instance, and you have a learner, right, who is auditory, they're not going to listen to you the same way. I needed to say that because a kinesthetic learner, too many words are going to confuse a kinesthetic learner. So they are looking at you like, what are you saying? So I have a dominant kinesthetic learner in my home. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's about learning style, right? Sometime in March in the academy, we're going to do a course on learning style. So yes, keep tab and stay here. But the interesting thing is that for an auditory learner, you give instructions, they are actually able to grasp all of the instructions that you're giving. So I've been privileged to raise an auditory learner dominantly, kinesthetic dominantly, and then visual. Our first daughter was a visual learner, I remember. And when we just started parenting, every time that I talk to her, so I will leave instructions. I will go home, I will go to work, come back and it's not done. And I kept wondering, what is the problem? I didn't know that she wasn't really understanding. There were too many words spoken at the same time. So I began to study, that was in my foray into studying learning styles. And I started to study learning. So I realized that she was a dominant visual learner. It means that if those things were broken out in a visual way, she's actually going to actually get them. So I started to stick instructions on fridge. And boom, that was it. And that was the end of the struggles of listening to instructions. So that child who is actually you're fighting that cannot hear you, it might simply be that the child isn't really understanding what it is that you're saying. So the question is, your instructions, they might be vague. Sometimes I'm a captain of industry. So of course, you have people that you work with, and many times you find out that you're constantly talking on one thing, and sometimes it might be that my own instruction isn't clear. It's not always from the other side. That's my point, right? So you need to learn to be specific. You need to learn to use simple language. So instead of saying clean up your room, you can say put your toys in the basket, put your books in the shelf. Does that make sense to you? So you can just say, "Hey, boy, clean up your room, clean up." Maybe the child doesn't really understand what clean up your room means. Is it possible that you've been shouting, clean up your room, and yet the child doesn't really understand that clean up your room is to put shoes where they should be, put toys where so I used to tell my children, clean up your room. I used to say that a lot when they were younger. So I have a set of twins who are almost 15, yes. And so most times when they were younger, I like my for me, a clean room means that everything is where they're supposed to be. Clothes folded, and I don't mean clothes folded and put everywhere. I mean clothes folded and put in a way that you can find it. I have a thing for organized spaces, especially my home. So I don't like disorganized homes. So one of my triggers was disorganized homes. And I was talking to Yadas the other time, and I said I have a trigger for dirty kitchen. It drives me nuts. You can't keep my kitchen dirty. But I realized that I was always saying, clean this place up. What is clean this place up? Are you guilty? If you are, let me see your comment in the comment section. I'm catching some people. Somebody said we've not even started. Coach has broken one table, right? So the child is confused. So I used to just say, clean up this way. So one day, our son, who is very core kind of aesthetic, and said to me, you actually always complain that my room is untidy, but I sweep it every day and I mop it. And it struck me. His room is actually clean. My definition of being untidy is what I didn't define to him. So I continue to say, clean up this room. And then one day, someone of you could just say, clean up this room. This room is clean. So you might actually be telling your children, clean up. This is just a glimpse of what it is communication can do. And we're going to be teaching you about communication when it comes to how to actually really communicate. That class is going on. It's a free inner circle. It's a part of the inner circle curriculum. We just open it up because we have a lot of people who are having to wait for the whole year to be in the inner circle. So we're opening up, these courses for you to be able to be part and learn. And trust me, being here is going to help you a lot. So that communication class is coming up. That should be next week. Am I correct, team? Coming up next week. Early bird offer ends in few days. 10,500, so 20,500. You get to pay in 3 days, 72 hours. This early bird offer ends. And part of what you're going to be learning are things like this. Things you think you have done right over the years, that it's actually not really right. Is actually not really what it is. So you might just be there getting frustrated, right? With these words to your children. Clean up your room, clean up your room. And then when my son finished telling me what clean up your room, I now started to say, when I get into the room and I see what things are, I'm like, so can these shoes stay where they are supposed to be? Can this book go back to the shelf if you're not reading them? So it is important for you to be clear. It's important for you to be exactly. Kemi said spoon is not part of dishes now, but that's it. The child is actually wondering, why didn't you do the dishes? One day I said to the children, oh, you didn't do the dishes, and there was no dish in the sink. Every plate was in the dishwasher. But here is the thing. The sink wasn't tidy. And for me, that is that you didn't do dishes. Communication problem everywhere. Normalize nonsense. All right. So you know the thing is that we were not intentionally taught communication. So we're all learning. It's actually very funny when parents come to me. They say, I've done everything I know. It's what you know. You are limited to the things you know. I say that again. You are limited to the things you know. A medical doctor who has practiced, for 300 years, whatever number of years, is just in that field. How about in the office? If you bring a professional medical doctor to represent you in court, you will fail woefully. You are only, it's the limit, it's the limitation of what you know per time. And that's why you can't just wake up and say to yourself, oh, I have learned it. I know what it is they're talking about. Because most of our parents didn't really teach us communication. Is it that some of us are aggressive or some of us became passive? Two extremes that are bad. So it is an important subject, right? Very important. I've listened to, the governor. The governor is here. For instructions is valid, your children must understand them. Yes. And it will be unfair for you to expect them to do that when they are confused. So the Marisol Academy, for instance, is doing a communication class next month for couples. This is for you and your children, right? For couples. And I've realized that at the heart of every family issue is communication. Every single family issue. So stop claiming that you know everything. That's the worst thing that can ever happen to you. Ever. I was in a conference last week, been in, I've been trying to even now go back to watch it and all of that. And then, every day you learn new things. If you stop to actually learn, you start to actually die. There's something I say to the inner circle parents: remain green. The moment you ripe, you rot. It's an inner circle lingo. And I'm sure that they get it. If you don't get it, you're not a yada. If you're not a yada, why now? I'm not because of you not being a yada. So please get on there and be a yada, right? And yes, one of the things you can do is to understand how yadaric yadas are. Get into the communication class and you will love it. All right. Let me have books. Okay. Thank you so much. The next one is emotional overload. That's the next, common reason. Emotional overload. Somebody say leverage your resources. I'm even laughing in the comment section. Emotional overload. Children, like adults, have emotional thresholds. The problem is that we do not recognize that children also have emotional threshold. So we expect so much, right? We expect our children not to actually, we expect them not to have all of that happening to them. Right? So if you're feeling upset, okay, overtired, overstimulated, they're struggling with the thing, they would actually struggle to process requests. I don't know why you think that a child cannot have struggles to process your requests. There are times where a child is actually struggling. There's something we say in our home. The upset child is not the upset person is not a listening person. So to say, the upset child is not a listening child. It doesn't matter what you see, all those things that we say, oh, a child is crying, you're beating the child to also listen. That's the most wicked thing I've ever heard in my life. A child is crying because something happened, and you're hitting the child so that the child will obey you. You're wicked. No, you're not. You're not nice. You're a wicked parent. I said it. You can come and beat me. I'm in my office. So please stop. Stop already. Children also go through this emotional turmoil. There are some times that you don't want to speak to someone because you're going through something. There are some times that you actually do not, you come back, you're feeling sad about something. Why do you get irritated that a child is angry? I've heard parents say things like, why are you angry? Why are you irritated that someone is angry? They have their right. They have the right to be angry. It is what they do with the anger that is actually the real issue. That's actually the real issue. So your child refusal to listen could be a result of your too many commands. You are just commanding, 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 and all of that. So sometimes the issue is not that your child wouldn't listen. It is that they don't know how to respond to your words. That's the truth. So your child is not really ignoring you. They are asking for a new way to be heard. They are not being heard, right? They're not being heard. They can't really hear you. So you need to acknowledge their emotions. So instead of you fighting, you can say something like, I can really see that you're upset about this. Take a deep breath. You'll be all right. According to my children, children said sometimes that you'll be all right comes and it's not nice. Mommy, you'll be all right means just deal with it and suck it up and just move on, right? But you know what? And they say something, they said, but it helps me to actually sit back and think of what it is that is going on. So use something that you can actually help your children. I can see that you're upset. It's okay. When you feel better, we will talk about it. I usually tell our children when they cry, when they were younger, as toddlers, we'll tell them, "Yeah, crying. Oh, I did this. Oh, mommy, it's not." And then I'm like, "Okay, it's fine. It's okay to cry. There's nothing wrong with being upset. Why do you get angry when people get upset? Why are you angry? No, there's nothing wrong with it. There's something that I tell you others. It's okay to get upset because you will. But when you're done, you will come back to loving me and it's okay. So there are sometimes we finish some classes, some others, some parents don't, they're like, you're hitting them at some parts, just like now. I might also be hitting you at some part and you're wondering who the hell does she think she is? It's fine. I'm not the one that's going to deal with your emotions yourself. You will deal with it. But it will not be wrong of me to say, why are you angry? Why must you be angry? You're foolish. That's what you do. That's actually what you do. You get angry that somebody is angry. Why? Why? Let's go there. Another reason your child is not listening is that sometimes they are seeking autonomy. Autonomy. Children naturally will push boundaries as they develop. So independence is a good thing. Stop fighting independence. In my book, Raising the Independent Thinking Child, let me have a copy, please. In my book, Raising the Independent Thinking Child, all right, I shared how you would need to actually give your children appropriate independence as you go through the journey. I'm sure that if you've read this book, it is one thing that you're going to pick out from them. Do you know that independence starts from the day you give birth to your child? The day you give birth to your child, that's when independence starts. But you need to give appropriate independence per time. I was sharing with others at our last webinar, all right, and I was talking about the story of Joseph, and I was saying if Joseph was able to survive because of the preparation, right? We might not have seen it written, but obviously a child who was about 12, 13 to be able to survive, slavery. Trust me, there was something that had been put in him that actually got him to that point. So it is something that you need to actually step back to think of. I really love this book, Raising the Independent Thinking Child. If you don't have a copy, this is the time to get a copy, like right about now. This is the time to get a copy, right? So you put the details of how you can get, book copies on here. And it is one very key, important aspect of your parenting because we fight with independence. Most of us think we're independent. We're not. We're not. Because we're constantly trying to, we want to shut our children down. Am I saying that your children should be outrightly rude? No, I don't like rude children. Do not quote me. Don't say, oh, coach, it was when coach now taught me that. No, there is appropriate age independency that your children must gain. In the book, I actually shared all of the different things you can do. Play. Do you know that play? You should give independence with play. So your 1 year old should start learning independence. So do not bail your children out in the name of you know what it is that your children need, in quotes. Some level of independence. Okay. So just when you send it, just help me start. Okay. Some level of dependence. And that is so key. Reading books on your journey as a parent is not even something that it's not something that you can negotiate. This is very important. So saying no or ignoring direction might just be a way of a child. Do you know that saying no is developmentally appropriate? I have seen a lot of parents hit a child for saying no. Like, I don't get it now, guys. How do you hit a child for saying no? Think about it. You hit a child because the child said no to you. You are so upset that you beat the child up. And tomorrow, when the child is being molested by that uncle in the house, and the child cannot say no, the child gets molested, comes to you to say, you now find out, you say, why couldn't you say no? You didn't teach the child how to say no. A child who cannot say no to you will not be able to say no to people outside of the home. It is a standard thing. No is a complete statement. Why do you get agitated with people telling you no? Why? You find out that a lot of us are even battling because people say no to us. You are afraid of people saying no to you. That's why you're not selling your market. In quote. You are afraid of doing that business because you don't want to ask somebody, they will tell you no. Who gave you that kind of mentality? Who is the person? Squash it. Emancipate yourself today. Deliver yourself forever. No, it's okay. We have the fear of collecting no and the fear of giving no. Two fears. You are constantly afraid to say, no, this is not possible. Because you want to please everybody. Do you know why? We were raised to be people's pleasers. And I will tell you why. Our parents actually raised us in such a way that we needed to do their bidding all the time. Now, is it wrong to raise children who are obedient? No. Is it wrong to raise children who are blindly obedient? Yes. Most of us were blind. We were raised with blind obedience. So we never got to say no to a parent, even when it's choking you. So when you come outside, you can't say no. You are working in a place. Your boss molesting you. You can't say no to him because according to you, if I say no, I'm going to lose my job. What does that even mean? You can't say no to a relationship you're in and you're about to get married, in quote. You know that these things are not okay. You still carry your two left legs and enter. You need this book, Raising the Girl with Sense, because you need sense. Don't raise a girl without sense, because. And part of raising the girl with sense is the ability to say no. If you're a mother, read this book. If you have a daughter, read this book. It is important. Sense is key. Most of us actually grew up, in quotes, without that sense, in quotes. All right? So it is important for you to get okay. So what we do is that we squash our children's ability to even do anything before they even get started. Somebody sent me a chat. Oh, coach, my son has just started saying no. Everything you say, he said no. How do I stop him from saying no? I say, Mobe. How do you stop a child from saying no? Why do you want to stop a human being from saying no? Like how? Why? I want to really understand. Your aim is to stop your child from saying no. I don't want to be that person. Like how? So you want to actually teach someone, raise someone who cannot say no. So instead of you to say, how do I get my child to actually be able to understand the balance? Now, there's a class that we teach in the inner circle called Honor as a Skill. New Yarders, I know, I'm sure that you're getting ready for, all of this. Honor as a Skill will humble you to the later. It's in February, wait for it. And if you're not in the yard, book your slot already so that you don't get peppered by next year. Because we will pepper you. We will. Just join the inner circle. It is life-changing. And I'm not saying it because I am leading the community. I'm saying it because I know that the inner circle changes your life. Literally, inner circle changes your life. Who are these people that are telling me to speak Yoruba? I've been speaking Yoruba since I'm a good Nigerian. Come on now, you guys. All right. So it's important. You need to now begin to learn how to offer choices and all of that. Part of what you're going to be learning at the communication class that is coming up next week is how to communicate no. How to teach your child at what point is no okay? At what point are you going to know how to say no? There's a way to actually say it. I was writing it here and I wrote no as a skill. And I said, how do you say no so that you actually make it work? There's a way, there's a how, there's a what to do. And it's that what to do that we're talking about. Okay. So yes, I can see yadas in the comment section. Inner circle is a life changer. If you're a yada, in one comment, in one word, say what the inner circle means to you. You can be reading it while we're dropping it. You can be reading it while we're dropping it. Just be reading it while you're dropping it. If you're looking for any copy of our books, just simply send the number on the screen, send that number a chat, and say, where can I get the copies of your books? And that's all. If you're on Instagram, go to Books by Wendy Ologe, and you would just send a DM and they will respond to you immediately with all the details of the book. If you are somewhere, outside of Nigeria, we have distributors in Canada, we have distributors in Scotland, in the UK, and we have distributors in many parts of the world, Australia, the United States, and Ghana, and all that parts of the world. And if you are not in any part of that world, you cannot always use Amazon and get copies, or you can buy e-copies in our store. But I would advise always get a hard copy, right? Yes, I can see all of the comments. Inner circle means life compass to me. Inner circle is a lifetime thing for me. Inner circle is a confirmation. Inner circle, when my son today says no, I tell her to say no. I tell her to say no. Say, okay. Healing center for me. I can see. So if you're reading in the comment, you're seeing what the inner circle means to the others. Right? If you're not in the yard, child, you are on a very long time. Trust me when I say so. Number 4, lack of connection. Lack of connection. If your child feels disconnected, not heard, they might tune off. Children are more likely to listen when they feel emotionally connected to you. Part of what we do in the inner circle is to focus on connectivity. Focus on it. The risk, a disconnected child will feel undervalued, unloved, and which in turn creates an emotional distance. Let me tell you what happened to you when you were growing up. Most of you left home before you left physically. You left emotionally. You shut down. You actually got to a point where you are no longer connecting. So it became draining. Most of you even got married because the home was no longer conducive. You wanted to run away. Yeah. You wanted to take off so that you don't come home and somebody is just choking you. That's what happens. Lack of connection. That's exactly what goes wrong. That's exactly what goes wrong. Most times, that's actually where children are. If you want children to listen to you, show them what it means to listen first. Listening to your child is not about control, it's about connection. And that's why the book Connect to Correct, we're currently reviewing Connect to Correct in the inner circle. The book Connect to Correct is an important aspect of your journey. People ask me, so you have many books, you've written countless books. Which do I start with? Start with this book. It changes your thought process first. It creates a mind shift for you. And that's the first thing that you want to do. That's the first thing that you want to do, that mind shift. A lot of us are parenting with a lot of normalized nonsense, like I like to call it. And in that normalized nonsense, you find out that most of these people we're actually struggling. Things that are not supposed to be. We have normalized it. I was having a conversation with a parent, and she was talking to me about, we were talking about yelling, just recently, I think one of my friends, and she said, how is it that we even thought yelling was okay? How did we get to a point where we actually thought that screaming on someone who is, yeah, like you're a giant and the person is tiny like that? For me, I think that that's the worst kind of yelling. If you're talking to your fellow adult, that even can be understanding. But you're talking to someone who lacks power to move away from you, someone who depends on you for safety, someone who depends on you for everything. And yet, you are still doing it. Your child can run away from you. No matter how destructive the words you say to your child while you're yelling, the child just stays there and just be there and just continue being there. And you think it's okay, it's normal. And people even come to me to say, you cannot parent without shouting in the morning, their children will go to school. Like, how do you even say things like that and they sound okay? Like, we actually open our mouths and say things like that. We even argue it on social media. You even come out and say, if you don't yell, the children will not be okay. Like, how now? Doesn't that tell you that something is wrong? Something is wrong with all of us. Before you say she's speaking like a perfectionist, I used to be a yeller. I'm coming from a place. And this is my antidote. I moved from yelling to calm. You too can. Trust me. It's so evil. So evil. To yell at someone who has no power to save themselves. So evil. Please don't. Right? Number 5. Overuse of command. Overuse of instructions. It will desensitize your children. If you are always using instructions in your parenting, it will desensitize your children. If you are always being told what to do, they may begin to turn off. Give them the ability to think. We are raising children who can't think because we think that the only thing that we need to do is just to instruct. Parenting is much more than instructions. So if your parenting is full of instructions, commands, connection, no time for laughter, no time, everything is, you are just a lion of the tribe of Judah. When you move into the house, everyone stands still. Then there's a problem. There's a problem. There's a problem. And you need to actually identify. The first place to solve a problem is that you know that you have a problem. Most times, our problem is that we don't even know that we have a problem. That's actually our biggest problem. There's more than instructions to deliver. So if your parenting is about commands, criticisms, in the recent times, I hear people say a lot of it. We give constructive criticisms. I've asked severally, what does constructive criticism mean? If your whatever is not guiding, is your constructive, is not guidance, then don't bring it. I was sharing with inner circle parents this morning, and I said, God doesn't criticize, He chastises, not criticize. They're two different things. Chastise your children, yes. And in chastising, God gives guidance. If your system of parenting lacks the ability to give constructive guidance, you have failed. Let me show you what it looks like. You come back home, you start by, hey, you did not do this in well. Hey, you did not, you are doing everything I told you to do. Everywhere is scattered. You did not get it. Why did you do it like this? Why did you do? In your mind, you say, no, I am constructively criticizing. No, you are killing your children. That's what you're doing. Imagine that you walk into the house. The next time that you're actually cleaning the room, can you try and clean it this other way? It doesn't look tidy. Constructive guidance. They are two different things. They are two different things. Stop constructively criticizing. And I'm going to show you how and more during that class, on communication course. If you're not in the inner circle, this is for you. Get into the creating the family communication blueprint course now. It will transform your life. It will transform your life. So if your constructive doesn't guide, it's not constructive at all. Go on, thank you for that. All right. Thank you for that. So every time you think about discipline, discipline is teaching. Can we stop fighting in the name of discipline? Discipline is teaching. Constructive guidance. If your guidance is constructively criticizing, you are wrong. Because we've infused this, we've moved from criticize, don't criticize, we're not saying no. Give them constructive criticism. If your criticism is not guiding, I mean your guidance is not your constructiveness does not have guidance, don't bring it to me. It's wrong for you to do that. And we've all hidden inside all of that. So sorry about that. I had a network glitch. So there's a thin line between being a constructive criticizer to being a perfect parent. Very thin line. Very, very thin line. Because when you are in that place, you want to prove that you're better. In the place of constructive criticism. Because criticism positions you on the top. Positions you at the place of, So if you're not going to tell me that this thing I have done, this is how I am going to do it, and constructively tell me where I've gotten it wrong and how I'm going to repair it, don't constructively criticize. Your children will shut down on you. I was writing something this morning and I was trying to share on how it is that, children view some of the things that we do. And, I was sharing this in level 2 today about constructive criticism and how we have actually gotten to a place where we think that our children, they will be there because they don't have any other, they don't have any other option. They will be there. They will be there. So I'm going to go deeper into how to go from being a constructive criticizer to being a constructive guider. That's like God. God deals with us in constructive guidance, not in constructive criticism. All right? So criticism hits on the person. Guidance hits on the process. So the point is not to hit on the person. The point is to hit on the process. And if the process is what it is that we're talking about, then that's what we were talking about. And when you're hitting the process, you are actually guided. Criticism focuses on result. Guidance focuses on the way. So criticism is talking about how do we see it at the final spot. Guidance is talking about how do we make progress, not do we make, fit into the process, not just make progress. They're two different things. I'm going to leave it here. All right, come to that class and you will hear more about this conversation. Okay, then number 6, developmental stage. Developmental stage. All right, developmental stage. Younger children, especially toddlers, have short attention spans, and they actually genuinely do not understand you. I was trying to build, the course, and I was trying to, look at, I was putting in the attention span of toddlers. All right. And I began to realize that a lot of people, a lot of parents don't even know that toddlers have very short attention. I think you want a toddler, somebody, somebody sent me a chat and said, "Oh, my children don't sit through devotion." I say, how old are they? They are 4. Like, sit through. The truth of the matter is that typically, the shorter the attention span, you have 2 to 5 minutes per age, of the child. Adults even have attention span of 20 to 30 minutes before needing a mental break. All right. Except you actually begin to now groom it, grow it, and all of that. So there's something you now need to work on. But typically, the attention span of a child is so short. So all those expectations, they should do homework. All right. They should do what's it called? They should do lesson. How do you put a child of age? I don't even understand how we are having 4-year-olds doing lesson, 6-year-olds. What are they doing? Do you know that the attention span of 0 to 1 year is a few seconds to a minute per time? For 1 to 2 years, is 2 to 3 minutes on a single activity. That's the general attention span. 2 to 3 years is about 4 to 6 minutes per activity. Then 3 to 4 years is about 10 minutes. So you have a 4-year-old, you're doing the devotional of 1 hour. How do you want the child to stay? How do you want a child how do you really want that child to really listen? The child can't listen. So you're going to be frustrated because you've not paid attention to the developmental process of that child. This is very important. So older children will test boundary. That's also a developmental process as part of their growth. I was writing in this book, right? Here, raising the independent thinking child. I was talking about testing boundaries. Testing boundaries is part of. Do you know I was so there's a course that we do in the inner circle called honesty as a skill. You know that telling a lie for children at a certain age is developmentally appropriate. It is your job to teach honesty intentionally as a skill, not just force them to stop telling a lie. They are two different things. Honesty is actually not about not telling lies. It's bigger than that. And it's something you need to deal with. Yeah. And that class I will teach you, show you, about children and lies and what it is. So all those things that irritate you might just be your ignorance. You're ignorant. If your child doesn't lie at a certain age, we actually consider it developmentally inappropriate. So it's developmentally appropriate for a child to be able to, live it. So the lying process is the same process of creativity. Yeah. So it's in that process that a child learns to imagine. It's the same process that helps the child to imagine. It's the same process that helps the child to think outside without a box. It's the same process. So when you kill it in the way that you're doing it, you actually raise children who become non-creative. So there's actually a way to teach honesty as a skill. I know I'm not here saying that when a child lies, it's good. Oh, lying is wrong. But again, I say that lying is developmentally appropriate at a certain age. If you now don't deal with it appropriately, that's why we have a lot of liars. All of us were beaten for lying. How many of you don't lie? Think about it. Just think about it. Lying takes more than just someone telling you don't lie. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. So you're just in the place where I said, they taught me not to lie in my time. Is it really true that you did not lie? We like pretending. We like hypocrisy. I usually say that our parenting, one of the biggest things our parenting gave us is hypocrisy. We are trained hypocrites. So we don't just say, it might never lie. I've never lied. Come all the way down. Just think. Think. It's because the way we were taught about lying and honesty was wrong. So that's why even with all the things that our parents do, you are still lying. You're still lying. Small things. Where did you buy this thing? No, I did not buy it here. I bought it somewhere else. White lie. Oh, are you coming out? No, I'm on the way. Your children are watching you. White lie. They are all lies. A lie is a lie. It's not, you can't color it. There's no coloration to a lie. So yes. All right. You are asking me lots and lots of questions. Ensure that you are at the communication class next week. Let me leave it there. The other say this is almost sounding like an inner circle webinar. Am I trying to hit them so hard? I am trying. I'm trying my best. Number 7, I talked about modeling behavior. If your child sees adult, right, not following on commitments, ignoring their requests, they mirror that behavior. Yes, they do. So what are you modeling? Are you modeling? Do you know that inconsistency, the brain interprets it as a lie? The brain of the child who sees you as inconsistent interprets you to be a liar. That's actually a big deal. So the brain is looking at, the brain of the child is, so the brain of the child is different. They process things differently. They are looking at you, you're doing things, today you are here, tomorrow you are there. You see all this, you jump from one church to another, you jump. That inconsistency is a thing for your child. Your child is processing it as a lie. Today you are in this place, tomorrow you are all of those inconsistencies, all of them. Your inconsistency is a big deal in your parenting. Your inconsistency is a big deal in your parenting. Today you say this thing, tomorrow you say the other thing. You say, no, you even pride in inconsistency. You tell yourself, my children do not know what I'm going to do next. If they just give them, today is Gary Turner, I will throw. Tomorrow is slippers. They don't know what it is I'm going to use. You pride in inconsistency. How did we get there? If your inconsistencies in the faces of your child, you're a liar. That's the way they interpret it. You're unpredictable. Parenting is predictable. Extremely. Your children should be able to know who you are, what you can do, how you can do it. If you are in the place where you are still bragging, my children don't know me, they don't know what I can do, you're wrong. You're parenting on a wrong table. Come down from that table. Inconsistency is parenting error. People always say, no, but it's good for children not to know. They will fear you. That's not the idea. The idea is a God kind of thing. God is the most consistent person that you can ever think of. It's the devil that's inconsistent. It's evil to be inconsistent. Tomorrow you read one book. Tomorrow you cannot. Next tomorrow you are here. Next tomorrow you are in the next way. You do this one. You do that. Your children are watching you. Unpredictability is the enemy of parenting. Unpredictability is the enemy of parenting. So let's sit down. Let's sit down and begin to look at the things that we do when it comes to modeling. Sometimes we don't interpret it the way we interpret it because, we are really not thinking as children. Our children interpret it differently. Totally differently. Today you say, you call your children and say that today I'm working on myself. I want to stop yelling and all of that. Today you're talking like this. Tomorrow your mouth is on the other side. Tomorrow your children are just looking. You're lying. You are lying. You are so unpredictable. Yet you want your children to trust you. How? You're so inconsistent. Yet you want them to trust you and listen to you. How? Why do we all listen to God? Why do we all, all want to actually connect with God? We can trust him because we have come to a place, except you do not know who God is, where you understand that God can be trusted. Why are you so sure that God can be trusted? Why? It's in the consistency. The question is, can you really be trusted by your child? So sometimes the child doesn't listen to you because they are thinking, Mm, this thing is not really, it's not really it. Unpredictability. So, when we say some things to parents, we say, oh, read a book, make sure that you are here, make sure that you do, make sure you stay consistent on one thing and all of that. You think, what is it? They're trying to just tell us what to do. Oh, tell me what to do and all of that. You're sending a message to your children. Whether you like it or not, every day you're making decisions that will affect generations in your home. Every single day. Every single day. Every single day. Can you be trusted? You want your children to listen to you. Can you really be trusted? That's one question that I want you to really. But the interesting thing, you can, our children were talking about us the other day, and they say, I know exactly how mommy would behave or daddy when this thing happens. Why not unpredictable? It's one thing that I said to myself. My husband and I said that we will be predictable to our children to the core. It means that they know who exactly we are. They know who exactly we are. Our children know whose number they will call now, and the person will pick. They know who to talk to about what, and the reaction they will get immediately. It's nothing like I don't really know what will happen. I don't really. If you're here priding in your unpredictability, you're wrong. Your parenting is already on the wrong footing. Climb down from that table. I'm going to be talking more about unpredictability at the connection, class. There are too many things for me to say, but I'm going to stop here because trust me, it's a lot. If your child is not listening, it's not their problem. It is yours. Let me say that again. If your child isn't listening to you, it's not their problem, it's your problem. Are you leading or are you just demanding? They are two different things. Most of us are demanding. We're not leading. Leaders don't demand. Are you leading or are you just demanding? Parenting is bigger than just making demands, just expectations. Parenting is about leading. Children, if you want your children to listen to you, show them what it means to actually listen. Listening to your child is not about control, it's about connection. Children are like mirrors. They reflect the level of respect and attention you show them. Show me a child that lacks honor and respect, and I'll show you a parent that lacks honor and respect. It's simple. There's no other way to interpret it. No other way. No other way. Somebody said, please, coach, don't stop. I need to stop. You need to listen to me. Come and pay me, please. Come and pay me. Love being paid, right? So come and pay me, right? This is where we're going to stop for this conversation. But please register for the family communication blueprint class. This is just, I took out a part of this class and I shared it with you. That class is going to open you up to a lot of things that you think were okay. Practical things. And I'm going to be sharing with you 2 worksheets, right? Those worksheets are going to also be available, on our seller for you to buy them. They're not going to be, free. It's going to be for people who actually get people. If you pay 10,500, you're going to get those worksheets, right? During the course, it's going to get you to understand what it is that you're doing and be able to walk through communication. See, if you want, attend 100 days of no yelling. If you don't work on your communication, you will continue to yell forever. If you don't work on communication, you will continue to yell forever. Quote me when I say so. And one thing that you want to do on your parenting is that you want to read. Read, oh, read. We're currently reading Connected already. Get copies. It's available with all distributors. It's available everywhere. It's available in our office. It's available on Stella. It's available on Amazon. Get copies. Next month, we're going to start reading Discipline That Is Not an Emergency. Discipline That Works. All right. In fact, we reviewed Connect Correct yesterday. It was awesome. And I'm sure that, a lot of yarders would be, very, very glad. See, start these things now. They look small. I was in a session yesterday with, a parent, By the way, to be in a one-on-one session with me is actually 200,000 naira. Being in the inner circle is 120,000. And being in the inner circle is that you're going to hear me speak all through the year. Trust me, you're not paying to be in the inner circle. And I say it with all sense of responsibility and accountability. You're not paying to be in the inner circle. No, you're not. If you really want to pay for my time, no, you won't pay 120,000 naira for 365 days to hear me speak, hear me teach. No, you will not. So the inner circle is literally, it's like a token for you to have access. Trust me when I say so. So get into the inner circle, get into the yard. Because when the chips are down, guys, you will look for this money. You will look for. I'm constantly. Yesterday I was in a session. I had 3 sessions back to back, 200K per hour. People will pay. So don't even when you get to that point, you will pay. You will pay. So if you don't have money, this is even the time to actually start it. If you do, no problem. We're very glad to collect it. Very, very glad. Right? Very, very, very glad. But register now. Get into this class. It's 10,500. See, beyond even having money to pay for counseling sessions, is that you don't have to wait until things go wrong. So you can have money, pay 200K back to back. Some people are able to afford it. People pay me for a year, every 2 weeks. It's fine, but it's beyond that. Don't wait until you get to a point where you are running kitty kitty. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. Remember, if your children are not listening, it is not their problem, it is yours. The question to ask is, am I leading or am I demanding? True leaders don't demand, they lead. In leadership is a different conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for being here. Read books. Get this book, Raising the Boy You Don't Need to Be Like, Raising the Girl with Sense. I talked about it today. Don't raise a girl that does not have sense. We will not come. And don't raise a boy that are bailing out. Our children will not marry idiots. It doesn't matter what it is that the world is saying. So you can also get Raising the Emotionally Skilled Child, Raising the Trophy Child. We have the Raising Stereo Skill. And then we also are Raising the Independent Thinking Child. I'm currently writing Raising the Socially Intelligent Child, one book that I have been, musing on writing and putting things together. It's going to be part of our reads for this year. And of course, Discipline That Works. Discipline is not an emergency. From yelling to calm. And remember, there's also the Parenting Advantage. You also want to read these books. These books are all awesome for you to read. And then Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. Don't miss to read them. And of course, Walking Your Child Through Puberty. And there's one book that you want to get, Solving Family Problems Through Effective Communication. If you have problems with communication, this is one book you would love. How to Love Your Child More, right? Parenting Lunch Plan, Resolving Sibling Rivalry, From Yelling to Calm. All of these books are available. Get them. Start your work. Start your work. And stop just sitting down to just look at your parenting go haywire. Don't wait until you have to come around and ask, how do I book one-on-one? And if you need to book one-on-one with a coach right now, right, and you're struggling, please do it. It's better for you to pay 200K now than to pay money in rehab that you're not sure that will work. 2 weeks ago, I still sent a father to a rehab in Enugu. That rehab pays 1.2 every month. It's going to be there for the next 1 year. It's a dead case. But we're praying that by the grace of God, we're going to have result. But hey, cure is not sure, like Coach Ebuka will say. So let us, prevention is usually better, right? Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an amazing time with you. And I'm going to leave here exactly 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Don't forget, remember that the communication class is coming up next week. It's 10,500. This offer ends in only 3 days, right? 72 hours. Am I correct? In 72 hours, you won't have this offer again. You have 20,500. But trust me, you attend one class in the Intentional Parent Academy, your life changes forever. I say it with all sense of responsibility. If it doesn't change, then come back and ask for your money back. We do money back guarantee every time, anytime, any day. Yarders, see you in the yard. Are you ready for the workers meeting on Thursday? If you're ready, say yes. Are you a captain? Are you? This is where I sign out. Thank you so much and have an amazing day. Yarders. And every other person who is not in the yard, remember to share this link for someone to listen and be blessed.